The clink of glasses echoed through the elegant venue, golden light glinting off a tiered cake adorned with pristine buttercream, shimmering under the glow of candles. All eyes were on the girl at the center of the celebration. "Make a wish, Mia," someone called out, their voice brimming with excitement. Mia Thompson, 25, a promising interior designer, smiled, a smile everyone assumed was one of pure fulfillment. Beside her stood her fiancé, Ethan Brooks, a renowned lawyer, his arm lightly around her waist. But his eyes weren't on her. They scanned the room as if searching for an invisible camera lens. She closed her eyes and blew out the candles. But that moment, meant to be sacred, became the beginning of everything that would unravel. California, a luxurious seaside restaurant, hosted Mia's 25th birthday party. The air buzzed with laughter, soft jazz mingling with the clink of wine glasses. Bouquets of flowers, heartfelt toasts, and perfectly curated check-in photos. Mia seemed to be living the sweet dream so many envied. Ethan Brooks, 30, handsome and self-assured, always introduced Mia as the jewel of my life to colleagues. But something in his gaze unsettled Chloe Bennett, Mia's best friend. Chloe, a sharp-witted journalist, noticed every subtle detail. She saw how Ethan paraded Mia like a trophy, not a partner. She wanted to stay silent, but when she saw the absolute trust in Mia's eyes, Chloe couldn't sit still. And then, the accident happened. As Mia prepared to blow out her candles, Chloe stepped closer and, accidentally, spilled a glass of red wine onto Mia's pearl-white dress. All eyes turned to her. Ethan frowned, hissing through clenched teeth. "You look like a clumsy fool. Go fix it now." The words, seemingly harmless, pierced Mia's pride like a dagger. She quietly slipped into the restroom, eyes brimming with tears, trying to hide the sting of hurt. Chloe followed, feigning guilt, then confessed, "I'm sorry. I spilled the wine on purpose. I wanted you to see. Ethan doesn't deserve you." Mia froze. Hurt morphed into anger. "You're jealous because I have it all, aren't you?" "No, I'm jealous because you keep trusting someone who doesn't protect you." Speechless, Mia pushed Chloe out of the room. She wiped away the wine, changed into a new dress, and returned to the party, her smile now a forced mask. But deep inside, the first seed of doubt had taken root. And from here, a journey of heartbreak, friendship, and inner triumph began. The party carried on as if nothing had happened. Mia emerged from the restroom in a midnight blue dress that hugged her frame, replacing the dazzling white gown stained with wine. She kept a smile plastered on her face, blending into the chatter, the clinking glasses, and the jazz playing harmless love songs. Ethan caught her gaze from across the room, but instead of comforting her, he continued his lively conversation with business partners, men in suits obsessed with numbers and perfect appearances. "Mia!" Ethan called out as she approached. "Everyone, this is my beautiful fiancée. Though a bit clumsy with wine." The guest chuckled, thinking it was a joke. But Mia heard the mockery beneath his words. She froze for a second, then smiled faintly and replied, "I think anyone can have a mishap, as long as they're not ridiculed for it." Ethan's brow furrowed. "It was just a joke. Don't be so sensitive." That night, Mia felt like a shadow amid strangers' laughter. She smiled when expected, raised her glass when required, but her eyes no longer sparkled with trust. Inside her heart, cracks were forming, small but deep. Outside the window, Chloe stood hidden behind a large curtain near the exit. She saw everything, Mia's pained expression, Ethan's indifference to her feelings, but she didn't approach. Mia had asked her to leave, and sometimes friendship means knowing when to step back. After the party, Ethan and Mia sat in the car, the silence between them icy. "You know," Mia said, staring at the dark road ahead, "you made me feel humiliated, in front of everyone." Ethan sighed, slowing the car. "You're just too sensitive. You need to learn to handle yourself better if you want to keep up with me. You know how important my work is." His words landed like a boulder. Mia turned to him, eyes wide. "Are you saying I have to be perfect, just so you don't lose face?" Ethan didn't answer. His silence was the most eloquent agreement. That night back home, Mia called Chloe. Explain, she said, her voice trembling. Why did you do it? Chloe didn't shy away. I knew you wouldn't believe me if I just told you. I wanted you to see it for yourself. Ethan doesn't protect you. He only cares about his own image. Mia fell silent. A battle raged within her. Reason versus trust. The dream of a perfect love versus the harsh truth. You ruined my birthday, and I don't know if you did it out of friendship or jealousy. Mia, don't call me again. Mia hung up, but Chloe's voice echoed in her mind, a bell of warning. True love never humiliates. A few days later, at the rooftop of Rose Hall Hotel, the night was alive with a cool breeze, golden lights reflecting off champagne flutes. Laughter rang out from impeccably dressed guests. Ethan Brooks stood among a group of financial partners, his radiant smile never fading. Mia walked beside him, wearing a soft pink silk dress she'd chosen herself. Elegant, a far cry from the girl in the mirror when she first met Ethan. This is Mia, Ethan said, introducing her to a major investor. My perfect fiancée. She has an impeccable eye for aesthetics and always knows how to maintain an image. Mia smiled, but a pang struck her heart. Maintain an image. The phrase brought her back to her birthday, and the cruel whisper, you look like a clumsy fool. She pushed the feeling aside, standing closer to Ethan to show unity. But then, a cigarette ember fell onto her dress. Mia flinched. The acrid smell of burning silk rose. A small, coin-sized hole singed through the fabric at her waist. Panicked, she stepped back, hands covering the damage. Ethan turned. His eyes widened at the burn, then darted to his partners. An apologetic glance for the incident. And then he said, couldn't you be more careful? You're embarrassing me in front of everyone. The words hit like a slap, not just to Mia's face, but to everything she'd believed in. Nearby, a few guests fell silent. Some looked away, uncomfortable. A few women sighed, their eyes filled with quiet sympathy. Mia stood still. It wasn't just hurt anymore. It was anger. It was her pride trampled. She raised her head high, slowly slipping the engagement ring off her finger. Ethan, she said, her voice steady, I'm not a prop for your reputation. I'm not a doll you display to impress the world, and I'm certainly not someone who will keep enduring this. He stepped forward, trying to grab her hand. Mia, don't make a scene. She pulled away, placing the ring on the table, the crowd watching in stunned silence. Good luck with someone who'll smile through being burned. She turned and walked away. Her dress was singed, her eyes blurred with tears, but her steps were firmer than ever before. In the hallway, Mia pulled out her phone. She called Chloe. Are you free? I need a place to cry, and someone who doesn't pretend to love me. Chloe's reply was simple. I'm always here. That night, Mia stayed at Chloe's apartment. They sat together eating pizza, barefoot, crying and laughing. Chloe shared her own story of a man who saw her as a pretty ornament. Mia said, I thought I knew love, but maybe I was just trying to please someone who never thought I was enough. And for the first time in 2 years, Mia felt free. She opened her laptop and began to draw. Bold curves, daring spaces, inspired by the burn on her dress, turning pain into creation. A week had passed since the engagement ended. Mia moved in temporarily with Chloe. The small, breezy hillside apartment became a sanctuary, a place where two women once fractured by doubt found each other again in their brokenness. One morning, Chloe set a coffee mug on the table, her eyes pensive. Mia, I need to ask you something. Mia looked up, her gaze softer than usual. Yeah? Chloe took a deep breath. Do you think Ryan's cheating on me? The question landed like a crack in the quiet air. Ryan Carter, Chloe's husband, a celebrated chef who owned a high-end restaurant. Charming, smooth-talking, well-liked. But lately, he'd been coming home late, sneaking glances at his phone, and mentioning his new colleague, Ava, with an unusual spark in his eyes. Does he touch you differently? Mia asked. Chloe nodded, a bitter smile on her lips. Like he's holding me, but thinking of someone else. Mia thought for a moment. A bold, risky, almost childish idea crossed her mind. "I have a way to test Ryan," she said, raising an eyebrow. Chloe blinked, surprised. "What are you planning?" "Just a little test. You spilled wine on me. Consider this my payback," Mia said, half joking, half serious. That evening, Mia visited Ryan's restaurant, where he was preparing dishes for a special tasting event. She wore a sleek black dress, hair swept up, her face glowing. Chloe sat at the bar, watching from afar, her heart pounding. Ryan emerged from the kitchen, a smudge of flour on his cheek, startled to see Mia. "Mia, what a surprise. Just stopping by. Wanted to try your special dish," she said, her smile teasing, eyes twinkling. Mia stepped closer, too close, and leaned in, planting a soft kiss on Ryan's cheek. A fleeting moment, enough to test, enough to know. Ryan smiled politely, wiping his cheek with a towel. "Thanks, but I've already got a chef at home, and she wouldn't be thrilled." Mia smirked. "Just a greeting, Ryan, but you passed the test." Chloe stepped out from the bar, her eyes reflecting relief. "Thanks for not betraying me," she said, half teasing, half sincere. Ryan looked between them, confused. "What's going on here?" "Just testing the infidelity alarm system," Mia said with a light laugh. They left the restaurant that night with a playful air, but in Chloe's heart, a shadow of doubt lingered. Mia glanced at Chloe quietly and said, "I kissed him to test him, and he didn't bite. You can relax a little, but something in your eyes, you still don't trust him, do you?" Chloe didn't answer. She only squeezed Mia's hand tighter, because a wife's intuition sometimes needs no proof. Wednesday afternoon, the California sky was clear and bright. Chloe hurried to Ryan's restaurant. She'd left her laptop behind after a charity event the previous night. She didn't call ahead. She didn't plan to stay long. The restaurant was nearly empty, staff on their lunch break. Chloe knocked on the small office door behind the kitchen, a space where she and Ryan once spent hours planning menus and dreaming about life. No answer. She touched the handle. The door wasn't locked, and in that moment, she saw what her heart had always feared. Ryan, in his chef's uniform, was embracing Ava Mitchell, the colleague he'd called his work sister. They were laughing, shoulders touching. On the table sat 2 coffee cups and an unopened gift box, perhaps for a birthday. Chloe froze in shock. "What is this?" she demanded, her voice hoarse, like someone who'd just run through wet sand. Ryan spun around, his face paling. Ava let go quickly, standing as if caught stealing. "Chloe, what are you doing here?" Ryan asked, stepping back. "The question is, what are you doing here? With her?" Chloe pointed, her eyes blazing. "It's nothing. We were just joking around." "You're misunderstanding," Ryan stammered. Ava stuttered. "We're just close, but we've never crossed the line." "Then what was that hug, that gift, and the way you're looking at each other?" Chloe shouted. Mia, who'd just entered the kitchen looking for Chloe, heard the commotion. She rushed in, seeing her friend trembling with rage. "Chloe," Mia said, placing a hand on her shoulder, her gaze piercing Ryan. "There's no way out of this." Ryan tried to salvage. "Babe, it's not what you think. Ava's she's lonely. I was comforting her." "You have a wife, Ryan, and you just lost her for a pathetic comfort game." Ava burst into tears. "Chloe, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean—" "Don't call me your friend," Chloe cut her off, voice ice cold. "We were never friends. Not if you could steal the person I trusted most." Ryan reached for Chloe's hand. She stepped back. "You have 2 choices. 1, leave my house tonight. 2, I released the recording I just started on my phone. When you said, 'She's lonely,' I was comforting her." The room fell silent. Ryan bowed his head, defeated. Ava sobbed and fled like a fugitive. Chloe turned to Mia, eyes red, voice breaking. "I hate myself for trusting him for so long, and I hate even more that I once thought Ava was a friend." Mia hugged her. "It's okay. I've been where you are. But now, we're stronger, remember?" That night, Chloe packed Ryan's things. Every shirt, every bottle of cologne he loved. She stuffed them into a suitcase, opened the door, and threw it out. "Ryan," she said, no need to shout. "You'll regret this, but I won't." A corner cafe, late afternoon, a light rain falling. Chloe sat alone at a table by the window. Outside, rain streaked down like the sorrow of years spent believing in friendship and marriage. Before her was an untouched cappuccino. Her hands rested on the table, steady, but her fingers trembled slightly. Ava Mitchell walked in, 7 minutes late. She wore a long beige trench coat, her eyes swollen, her steps tentative, as if approaching her own confession. Sitting across from Chloe, Ava whispered, "Thank you for agreeing to meet." "Not to hear your apologies," Chloe replied, "but to understand what you were thinking when you destroyed my trust." Ava swallowed hard. She stared at her glass of water, as if answers lay at the bottom. "At first, I didn't mean anything by it. Ryan said he was lonely. He said his wife was cold, that you didn't love him anymore." Ava's voice was faint, like a breeze. "So that justified sleeping with my husband?" Chloe cut in, her face unmoved. Ava bit her lip. After a pause, she said quietly, "There's something I've never told anyone. When I went bankrupt after losing a contract, Ryan lent me $5,000. I was grateful, but when I tried to pay him back, he refused." Chloe's brow furrowed slightly. "Why?" Ava spoke slowly, each word heavy. "He said, 'If you love me, don't talk about money. I don't keep tabs with someone I love.'" The air thickened. Chloe leaned back in her chair, staring at the woman across from her. The silence stretched until Ava spoke again. "Chloe, I really thought it was love back then, but now I see I was manipulated." Chloe gave a faint, joyless laugh, not mocking, but the laugh of someone who'd just seen the whole picture. "Ryan used to say I was lucky to have him, but the truth is, he always needed women who felt grateful, so he could feel powerful." Ava bowed her head, tears falling onto the tablecloth. Chloe pulled a silver bracelet from her bag, the gift she'd given Ava last year, engraved with "Sisters by Choice." She placed it between them, no words wasted. "Take it, along with the rest of the memories. I don't keep anything from betrayers." Ava let out a soft sob. "I was wrong." Chloe looked her in the eye. "I don't need apologies. I need space. Without you." She stood, grabbing her coat. Mia, who'd been sitting nearby like a silent guardian, stepped forward, her eyes saying one thing: "Enough." As they walked out, Ava remained at the table, clutching the bracelet, tears falling silently. But the door had closed, literally and figuratively. That night, Chloe posted on her blog, "I used to think I was betrayed because I wasn't good enough, but now I know. I was betrayed because I trusted too much in the goodness of others." The post spread like wildfire. Thousands of women commented, sharing stories of emotional debts they'd paid with their youth. Mia read each line, her eyes gleaming with pride. "You're turning pain into a message, and that's something they can never take back." Nearly a month after the broken engagement, Mia Thompson was no longer the quiet girl standing in the corner of a party, forcing a smile in a singed dress. Now she worked in a small design studio in the heart of Los Angeles. Vibrant, passionate, and fiercely independent. The room was bathed in sunlight, surrounded by colorful sketches, art exhibition posters, and the soft hum of indie music. Mia had just signed a contract with a community arts center, her biggest project yet. Chloe, once a fractured best friend, had become her assistant, ally, and true sister. But then, he returned. One Friday afternoon, as Mia discussed plans with a client, the receptionist appeared at the door. "There's someone named Ethan Brooks here to see you. Says it's urgent." Mia paused. Her heart didn't pound with fear, only surprise. She stepped into the lobby. Ethan stood there. Same expensive suit, same confident gaze, but something couldn't mask the emptiness behind his polished exterior. "I just need 5 minutes," Ethan said, his voice low. Mia crossed her arms, standing tall. "You have 3. Ethan looked at her for a long moment, then spoke. I was wrong. I said things I shouldn't have. Hurt you? You didn't deserve that. And I think we deserve a second chance. Mia stayed silent, then gave a faint smile. Thank you for saying that. But are you apologizing? Because you're sorry? Or because you're lonely? Ethan didn't answer. His eyes drifted away. You didn't love me, Ethan, Mia continued. You loved the idea of a perfect woman you could show off. I'm not an idea. I'm a person. He tried to interrupt. I've thought a lot about this. Mia raised a hand, stopping him. I used to believe in apologies, but now I believe in actions, and your actions turned me into a backdrop for your ego to shine. She turned away. Ethan lingered for a few seconds, then left, his steps quicker than his polished demeanor suggested. A month later, Mia and Chloe sat at a seaside cafe, unwinding after a review session at the Arts Center. Look at the door, Chloe said, her brow furrowing. Mia turned. Ethan, in a crisp white suit, held hands with a girl at least 7 years younger. Sparkling eyes, dyed blonde hair, smiling shyly as if living in a dream. She looks like me a year ago, Chloe said. Mia watched for a moment, then turned back, chuckling softly. He doesn't want to love anyone. He just wants someone who makes him feel powerful. And you, Chloe asked. I don't need anyone to make me feel worthy anymore. I already know I am. They clinked their lemonade glasses. Behind them, a new couple was beginning their cycle of illusions and blindness. But Mia and Chloe were moving forward, with hearts wide awake. Monday morning, sunlight streamed through the studio's glass windows. Mia was reviewing final sketches for the Arts Center project when her phone buzzed. A message from a potential client. There are rumors about your personal life and former fiancé. We'd like clarification before signing. She stared at the text. Her heart didn't ache or tremble, just the eerie calm of someone who'd already walked through the abyss. She sent a screenshot to Chloe. Chloe replied with 3 words. It's time. That evening, in Chloe's cozy apartment, they opened a laptop. 2 glasses of wine sat untouched on the table. No need for liquid courage, only truth. The blog post's title, We Loved Men Who Seemed Ideal, until we realized we were just backdrops for their egos. Mia wrote first. She described the singed dress at the company party, Ethan's irritated glare instead of concern, and words that seemed like jokes but stung like needles. You're embarrassing me in front of my partners. No names, no addresses, just the truth, unembellished. Chloe followed. She wrote about a marriage wrapped in hollow compliments, nights waiting by the door, and her husband's embrace with another woman. She wrote about Ava, once called a sister, and how Ryan refused to take back the $5,000 loan as if it were payment for an illicit bond. I'm not writing for revenge. I'm writing so other women don't feel like they're the only ones deceived. They published the post. No hashtags, no paid promotions. Just a quiet share on their personal blogs and a simple status. We've been silent long enough. Within 24 hours, 25,000 shares, over 10,000 comments. Thank you for writing what we couldn't. I've been through this, but I wasn't strong enough to speak. You're not alone, and now I'm not either. A wave of awakening spread, not angry, but clear-eyed, not shouting, but standing tall. Ethan stayed silent, but his business partners didn't. A law firm withdrew a contract. A brand dropped his name from a community campaign. Ryan fired from his flagship restaurant. Ava vanished from social media amid a storm of criticism. That weekend, at Mia's studio, they hosted an intimate gathering. No lavish flowers, just hot tea, sticky notes for sharing feelings, and dozens of women who came to listen, speak, and be heard. Mia stood in the center, no microphone needed. We didn't write to expose anyone. We wrote to shine a light on the shadows in so many hearts. Chloe added, her voice firm yet gentle. We're not seeking approval. We're creating space for those ready to stand up. Applause filled the room, not out of pity, but respect for women who dared to tell their stories. That night, Mia opened an email, an offer from an international hotel chain, with a note, we don't just want beautiful designs, we want a heart as strong as yours. She smiled, texting Chloe. this is just the beginning. The first rain of the season fell lightly on Los Angeles, leaving a thin mist on the windows of Chloe's high-rise apartment, where she'd just signed her divorce papers. In her hands was the court's decision. She kept the apartment, a share of the assets, and her freedom from a marriage built on lies. Mia waited in the lobby, giving her a gentle hug as they stepped toward the car. "How does it feel?" Chloe smiled. "Like taking off a pair of too tight heels after walking a long road." That evening, the doorbell rang. Chloe cracked the door just enough to see Ryan standing there. White shirt slightly wrinkled, holding a small gift box, eyes lowered as if bracing himself to play the remorseful man. "I'm not here to argue," he said, his voice low but trembling. "I just want to see you one last time. Say a few words if I can." Chloe didn't respond immediately. She opened the door wider, not inviting him in, just standing tall, her gaze steady. Ryan held out the box. "I know you love this kind of necklace. It's the one you admired but never bought." He looked up, his voice almost pleading. "I ended things with Ava. I was wrong. Can you consider giving us another chance?" Chloe opened the box, glancing at the sparkling necklace. She nodded, gently placing it on a shelf by the door, then looked straight at Ryan. "You didn't give this for me. You gave it to ease your own guilt." Ryan faltered. She continued slowly. "You don't regret hurting me. You regret losing someone who always forgave you." He stepped back, his voice hoarse. "You really want to throw everything away? What about all we had?" From inside, Mia stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. "Ryan, Chloe isn't throwing anything away. She's keeping everything she deserves. The rest, like your betrayal, needs to go." Ryan's fists clenched, his face hardening. "She loved me once. You don't just forget that." Chloe smiled, not sad, not bitter. "I haven't forgotten. I just don't need to remember anymore." Ryan opened his mouth to argue, but Chloe's eyes stopped him. They told him the door he thought he could reopen was shut forever. No slam, no shouting, just a quiet peace with no room for him. He turned and walked into the rain. Lighter than when he arrived, but emptier than ever. That night, Chloe placed the necklace on the table and snapped a photo. She posted it on her blog with a caption. "Some gifts aren't meant to be kept. They're reminders of how little you once settled for." The post spread instantly. Thousands of women resonated, sharing their own stories of softening, then strengthening. Mia read each comment, smiling. She called Chloe. "Our studio's opening a new space for exhibitions by women post-divorce. I need someone to write the narrative. You in?" Chloe answered without hesitation. "And I'll start with my own story." 3 months after the blog post went public, Mia and Chloe's lives had turned a bold new chapter. Mia was finalizing the last phase of her Art Center project, a space dedicated to women who'd been through divorce, hosting exhibitions, creative workshops, and community talks. The design blended white, beige, and warm wood tones, mirroring her own journey of inner healing. During a meeting to review blueprints, Mia met Noah Davis, a young, reserved architect with gentle brown eyes like a late afternoon. "Your designs, they're different," Noah said, studying her sketches. "They don't try to impress. They just feel right for what women need." Mia smiled softly. "I'm not designing buildings. I'm designing renewal." They worked together for 3 weeks. The closer they grew, the more Mia noticed. Noah didn't pry into her past. He didn't interrupt, didn't make promises, just showed up with fresh perspectives or a warm coffee during deadline-crowded days. One evening after a project review, Noah handed her a leather-bound notebook engraved with, "Design is not decoration, it's how you live again." Mia said nothing, but her eyes said enough. Meanwhile, Chloe was trying something new, teaching a small journalism class at the studio, guiding students in blogging, storytelling, and healing through words. One day, an older student brought her grandson to class, unable to babysit. That grandson, Daniel Lee, 33, a freelance photographer, divorced, living minimally, with a voice warm like an old vinyl record. After class, Daniel offered to take Chloe's portrait, to capture a woman standing at the crossroads of memory and now. Chloe burst out laughing. Do you say that to all your students? Daniel shrugged. No, but to someone fearless enough to blog about her ex-husband and still teach with a smile? Yeah. From photo sessions to coffee dates, then weekend walks, Daniel didn't try to fix Chloe's sadness. He let her feel it, never rushing her past her scars, just sitting beside her until she was ready to step forward. One quiet evening, Mia and Chloe strolled along the pier. Do you think this is real love? Chloe asked. Mia nodded. Yeah, not the kind that swoops in to save you, the kind that walks beside you. Chloe smiled softly. I like that kind better. They looked at each other, eyes sparkling like the new moon over the sea. Friendship, love, freedom, and a life they chose, not one handed to them. 1 year later, the Aurora Arts Center opened its doors in the heart of the city, a once-forgotten lot now alive with light, flowers, and genuine laughter. It wasn't just Mia's design project. It was the crystallization of courage, forgiveness, and a journey of rebirth after pain. The From Broken to Bold exhibition, co-founded by Mia and Chloe, became a favorite stop for visitors. It displayed objects that seemed worthless, but held entire healed pasts. The singed silk dress, now stitched with golden thread, embracing its scars without hiding them. The necklace Ryan offered as redemption, encased in glass with a note. Not every shiny thing is love. Sometimes it's just another way to make you forget your own worth. At the center, a black and white photo. Mia and Chloe standing side by side, hands clasped. Not radiant, not showy, just the calm gaze of two women who knew what they'd survived and why they still stood. When the MC invited them to speak, Mia stepped forward. No notes, no theatrics. She simply said, "We once thought we weren't strong enough to leave, but leaving isn't giving up. It's letting go of what no longer fits, to hold on to what you deserve." Chloe took the mic, her eyes resolute. We don't tell our stories to complain. We tell them so other women know. You don't have to scream to be heard. You just have to speak your truth, in your own voice. The room erupted, not loudly but deeply. Quiet applause, heavy with empathy. An older woman held her daughter's hand. A teenage girl wiped silent tears. A man J-texted something in a notebook, as if understanding for the first time. That night, Mia sat with Noah. Chloe sat with Daniel. No grand declarations, no need to label their love. He turned and walked into the rain. Lighter than when he arrived, but emptier than ever. That night, Chloe placed the necklace on the table and snapped a photo. She posted it on her blog with a caption. Some gifts aren't meant to be kept. They're reminders of how little you once settled for. The post spread instantly. Thousands of women resonated, sharing their own stories of softening, then strengthening. Mia read each comment, smiling. She called Chloe. Our studio's opening a new space for exhibitions by women post-divorce. I need someone to write the narrative. You in? Chloe answered without hesitation. And I'll start with my own story. 3 months after the blog post went public, Mia and Chloe's lives had turned a bold new chapter. Mia was finalizing the last phase of her Arts Center project, a space dedicated to women who'd been through divorce, hosting exhibitions, creative workshops, and community talks. The design blended white, beige, and warm wood tones, mirroring her own journey of inner healing.